The most affordable way to get into a BMW model in Australia is via the 1 Series, and after about 4 years on sale, the third generation hatchback has come in for a thorough going over. Now, Cars Guide's been given access to the new 1 Series ahead of its global reveal and ahead of its on sale date later this year. But what exactly is new about the 1 Series? So just to be clear, this is not a full new generation changeover, but it is a bit more than just a facelift. Underpinning the 1 Series is still the UKL2 platform, and that also underpins the 2 Series Grand Coupe, as well as the X1 and X2 SUVs. It has grown a little bit in size, but only when it comes to the length because of the extra long nose that we'll talk about in a minute. But in terms of wheelbase and width, it's the same as the model it replaces. One thing that has changed though is BMW's naming convention. You might notice something missing from the badge here. BMW has dropped the I from its names across its range, and the 1 Series is the first model to usher this in. So it goes back a long way, the I of course, but you won't be seeing it much from here out. And this change is going to roll out to all of BMW's internal combustion engine models because they want to save the I badge for electric models like the iX3 and the i4. BMW is keeping the lineup much the same as before. That means an entry-level 118, as well as the spicy M135 xDrive topping the range. A replacement for the much-loved 128 Ti warm hatch has not yet been confirmed by BMW. So BMW's made a number of changes to the design of the 1 Series, of course. Now, I quite liked the previous version. I thought it was a handsome little hatchback, but they've made some really interesting and meaningful changes. So one of the changes is this new black roof that comes standard on the M135. It looks really, really cool in the metal, especially on this skyscraper grey colour. You've also got a spoiler that's a carryover from the previous M135, but down here you can see some new taillight designs. Now, if you're a BMW stan, you might know that these look very similar to the X2. I think they look really cool, and again, it's a nice kind of boost to the appearance of the car. Speaking of boosts, you will find that with the M135 you now get quad exhausts. So the previous one had only dual exhausts, and BMW used to reserve the quads for something like an M3, like a full fat M model, but now the M Performance models like the X1 and the X2 get it as well, and so does the 1 Series. The most obvious visual carryover from the old model are the doors, but new elements include a lot of black highlighting, including the mirror caps on the M135, and you can see you've got black wheels as well. They're kind of a bit of a two-tone alloy 19-inch wheels on the M135. You can get red calipers as an option, but blue comes standard as per the previous model. But of course, the biggest change to the 1 Series is this new bold front end design. If you remember the previous model, it was kind of a bit upright at the front, and now they've really elongated the nose of this thing, hence the extra length in the car. The biggest changes are that nose for sure, and if you have a look where the badge is, it's a fantastic little design element there on top of the very new version of the kidney grille. Now, the previous 1 Series had a much taller kidney grille, but this is a lot more narrow and a bit more in keeping with their performance models, and I think it looks really, really sharp. And as you can see, they've hidden in some of the driver assistance radars and things like that in there quite well. Other big changes, of course, are these headlights. Now, the interesting thing about these is they are matrix LED, and if you have a look at them close up, they're really intricate. There's a lot of tech going on here. Now, these aren't just standard on the M135, they're also standard on the base 118, which is great to hear, and fantastic that BMW is making a lot more things standard. Other changes, of course, are the lower grille, which is much more open and it's more of a one-piece thing as opposed to the four-box design they had before. So big changes at the front, very bold and quite handsome. So it's all change here in the interior of the new 1 Series. If you have seen or sat in a current generation X1 or the new X2, this will be quite familiar. So the 1 Series now gets operating system 9, which is BMW's latest, and they say greatest, multimedia setup. And that's incorporated in this integrated screen that is actually two screens, but looks like one. Very, very schmick. And most of the controls are housed in the screen as well. So there are no buttons here on the dash. You've just got the air vent controls, and of course the center console is BMW's current console design, so there's obviously buttons there for changing gears and volume and the like, but in terms of the dash, it's very minimalist, but not to the point of being dull, because I think in terms of the actual design they've done a really good job. You've got some really nice elements in the M135 in particular, including these lovely stitches over here on the dash. Of course, the M colours. There's really vibrant interior ambient lighting as well, and interesting design elements such as the air vents. Of course, it wouldn't be a BMW without an incredibly chunky steering wheel, and that's what we have. In this particular model, you get the optional M Sport seats. They're standard in the M135, but this is extra M Sport seats as part of an options pack. And overall, yeah, all new cabin and looking pretty schmick. So for the M135i, it gets a carryover 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine. It does get a little bit more power, about 8 kilowatts, but it also loses torque, 50 newton meters. The reason for that, we're told, is that it gets a different transmission. So the previous one had an 8-speed torque converter automatic. This one gets a 7-speed, and that has made the difference in the torque. As a result, the 0 to 100 km/h sprint time is down by 0.1 of a second. The 118 uses a 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine offering 115 kilowatts of power and 230 newton meters of torque. That's 12 kilowatts and 10 newton meters more than the previous model. Other changes under the skin include measures to improve the rigidity of the body structure as well as ride and steering. Pricing and full specification for the new 1 Series range is expected to be revealed in July, ahead of an on-sale date later this year. Given the uptick in standard gear, especially for the 118, expect a price increase over the existing model. The current pricing starts at $54,800 before on-road costs for the 118, and it tops out at $76,600 for the M135i. Check out the written article detailing the 1 Series changes at carsguide.com.au.